this freaking flu at me to stop me. Yes, still tired, but okay. I'll say all sorts of random crap. Nice to be out of bed. Welcome back, everybody, from the Queen City, Radio City. A very warm Cincinnati. It's been like 70 degrees, which helps when you've gone through the fun flu-like experience I've gone through. It makes it easier to go outside and actually want to be part of the living. Number of stories today, even a breaking one right now that I'm hoping is not right, or at least will end up being right. But I really, really don't want to have to go into ripping the crap out of certain Democrats, but they really may force me. I'm getting exhausted here, and that's not just the flu. I'm tired. I fight for the things that we care about all the time. You guys fight for the things we care about all the time. You know, there are certain folks willing to give some of Trump's cabinet members their votes that said that Trump wasn't, he was not an illegitimate president, which he is. The ones that censured Al Green, shame. I mean, why would I ever say shame on you? What a stupid phrase. Republican. We use that against Republicans all the time because they're good. Not shame on you. F you. How about that? How do you not understand the damn moment we're in? How do you not understand what you're fighting for? How do you not understand that acting like a party as they're usurping, powers and taking an acts to laws and all the crap they're doing that is patently illegal? How is it that you sit there and act like that's it all normal? I mean, the ones who stood up and then got chastised by leadership like Melody Stansberry and others, thank you to them. Thank you to Al Green. Thank you to Jasmine Crockett and AOC. Thank you to Chris Murphy and Brian Schatz. Thank you to Tammy Duckworth. But, this leadership, which at this point, there's a whole bunch of them that I can say in the past did some amazing things, must go. Just go away. You have no business in the modern era, in a modern Democratic Party. If you're what is causing this by looking over shoulders of people who are younger than you and didn't grow up like scared of Ronald Reagan's shadow, go away. In case it wasn't clear who I'm talking about, Chuck Schumer, Nancy Pelosi, Steny Hoyer, Dick Durbin, the rest of you, just fucking go away. You're from like deep blue areas. We could elect a lot better. And I don't care anymore. There's like a pass I gave you on past service. Because Nancy Pelosi was amazing, when we took back the House in 2006 and 2008, helping us stop Bush and stop the attack on Social Security. Hey, we're back to that now. Maybe have the same kind of fight now. And if Hakeem Jeffries is getting his sort of walking orders from her because she won't leave, which is what leaders tend to do when they're done, and is looking over her shoulder, then, maybe he has a chance. But if he's doing all this on his own, then he can get the fuck out too. I mean, I just read it like we can stop this government, this BS attack on us. Government is great. I want government to be open, not when government being open leads to all sorts of attacks on all of us. At that point, government is better closed. And when I read that may have to get through a filibuster, and I know because I just went on as a guest with Bob Seska and we were talking about it and it broke while I was on the show, that they are going to do that apparently a couple of them have said, well, we'll vote to overcome the filibuster, but then we won't vote for it. No. That's crap. And all of us who aren't idiots know that. That's the vote. If you let them have a vote where it's up to 50 votes or more, they will win, as they were able to use 50 votes or more to install some of the most ridiculous characters, cartoon characters at defense and FBI and places like that. So don't play that game. Because I don't want to be coming in here ripping Democrats, but if that's what I have to do, if I'm going to watch John Fetterman turn into a complete imbecile in front of my eyes, I'm going to watch Gavin Newsom like, hey, let's invite everybody on. Invite what, Beelzebub next on his stupid podcast? I got to watch any more of this crap. I may just lose it. And I swear to God, they need 7 of you. If 7 of you Democrats in the Senate, I said Republicans because you'll be acting like that, go and you vote for this freaking thing. I swear. Like, I will come in here and I will name you every damn day. I hope nobody raises you a damn cent. I hope you're primaried by everybody. I'm exhausted by it. We should at least be able to count on the people on our damn side fighting as hard as we are. Frankly, I'd rather be in freaking bed right now. But I'm here dealing with this and reading, headlines that just are so not shocking about Democrats being complete wimps. I'm tired of that image. I'm tired of them foisting it upon us by being stupid, by being agreeable, angering. I wanted to have more fun today, and then I saw that breaking news story, and it really pissed me off. I have 2 people here. We'll see if they're as pissed off as I am. Contributor to the YouTube channel, Cliff's Edge, Matt Robeson, longtime contributor. You must have seen some of his videos. He has one that somewhere up towards 100,000 views right now. So I would have to think you've seen that one. And obviously Tony Michaels, the reason why I exist in this arena, in this platform. No, you're not my dad. That's not what I was saying.
No.
Hey,
Ooh, who's your daddy?
I'm not the son of some fucking hick. No, all right.
Dang, Cliff, I didn't know you were gonna have Tony Michaels. This is like getting the wolf in Pulp Fiction. It's like Tony Michaels. That's all you had to say.
That's it. That's it, man.
That's a good point.
And he asked him, "I'm mad. Am I upset?" Anyone who's ever watched me knows that I am habitually upset. Like that's my personality trait. Is I'm just
and it's one of the ones we appreciate about you. Well, I'll ask both of you because I will tell you, like the 3 of us have been around and watched all this stuff long enough, and the 3 of us have always been, I would call it in a similar area, okay, which is wherever we occupy in the Democratic Party, liberal, center, left, I don't really know, but fight for certain things, believe in certain things. Don't rush to condemn the Democratic Party first. Don't rush to attack it first. Try to use more carrots than sticks and getting them to do the right thing. But there's a point where you break. And I'm tired. I'm sorry, and I know I disagree with you on this, Tony, but I'm gonna have to disagree strongly again. Tired of seeing John Fetterman's act. I mean, when he's out there saying he's going to vote for the CR and giving people cover on that, this guy that was like a Bernie Sanders guy 5 years ago, where the moderate Democrats were sellouts as far as he was concerned. I forgave him for that and let all that stuff go and got behind him because I thought he was a good politician. And now he's up there, smooching Trump's ass like it's like his job. And then you see Gavin Newsom with hey, let's see who I can podcast with next week. I think Mephistopheles is free. And now we have a situation, and this is such a classic Democratic situation where Republicans, there'd be no chance if this were the other way around. But I knew it. And I said it as I was on Bob Seska's show earlier, that they need 60 votes just to allow a vote on the continuing resolution, which is filled with crap and is an attack on us. And right now, normally I'm for running the government, but if these guys are running the government in the way they currently want to run it, all it does is destroy people. So no, a government is closed. The government closed is better than that. And that apparently, as it just broke, there may be 7 Democrats willing, and they hide behind this stuff like we're the stupidest people in the world. We're not going to vote for it. Well, we're just going to say, okay, there should be a vote. Fuck you, honestly. And YouTube, you know what? If you want to take my money away for that, fuck you too, because I don't care. That's the mood I'm in.
I like this clip. I like that. What do you now? I mean, I will say that there are a few disagreements I have in there, but my opinion is to shut Trump's government down and keep it shut down until he's gone. That is my opinion. I think he's going to destroy the American economy anyways, whether we get a CR or we don't get a CR. His goal is to tank this economy and to drive it into the ditch for whatever unknown reason seems to be lying out there. Right. Well, there's a lot of theories and a lot of people are saying, but I think we should shut the Trump's government down. And as far as John Fetterman and Gavin Newsom goes, I know what they're doing.
Well, we've discussed that. I don't want to cut you off there, but take those guys aside because we've had that conversation.
Sure.
with those two. I want to hear from you and then Matt on these, because to me, this isn't just we should shut the government down. This is we must, especially with what's in the CR. And the fact of the matter is, if we have 7 members of a 47 member caucus. So in my quick math tells me if 1/7 of Democrats are willing to go and vote to allow Republicans to go forward on this, I swear to God, I'm going to come on this show every day and name you and rip the crap out of you. That's where I am.
Here's what I'll say about the 7 senators. Democrats, and I get this a lot with even my audience, is that they believe that somehow there's still guardrails on politics. There's still guardrails in our political body in this country where we exchange discourse, and there's not. There's no guardrails. There's no normal anymore. There's no decorum. And again, Republicans are full-on fascists. We know this. We've known this for a long time, since, I don't know, like 1978, that Republicans are full-on fascists. It just, they're now in the Trump era. But Democrats, one of the problems we have is Democrats are standing around trying to debate decorum. Fuck decorum. Decorum went out the window a long time ago when Trump shut the government down in 2018. He kept it shut down because he's a crybaby. And it went,
again, quickly, a lot of it went out the window. I won't go into all the examples of them shutting down the government, threatening debt ceiling closures, right? Like the Bush vote on Medicare Part, whatever the hell it was, where they held the vote. The votes are only supposed to be held open for 15 minutes, and they held it open for 4 hours because there were Republicans hiding in the cloakroom who didn't want to take the vote, and they were searching, looking for them, and that destroyed that norm. So now you can keep a vote open as long as you want. Like, this has been an ongoing. Mitch McConnell issuing 99% of the filibusters in the history of the Republic. Like, this has been a long-going thing. And so I need to shut up again, but I'm just making the point that Trump is the worst of it, but they've been building to this, breaking norms and breaking laws and breaking ethical boundaries for a long time.
So if I could break in with what back when I was a congressional staffer, we called a friendly amendment. I'm going to offer a friendly amendment to what you're saying, Cliff. I am all for doing a shutdown, but we have to have a reason why. We have to tell the American public why we're doing it. And I think we've seen that the messaging around, hey, look, they're throwing democracy in the garbage disposal, right? That messaging doesn't work. It doesn't resonate. We just got it rejected back in November, as much as it's very true and very full of proof. So here's what baffles me. It's sitting right there. The reason is also very true and very full of proof. I was arguing up through last week, including on your channel, Cliff, that, well, we know where the American public is and where they trust Democrats. It's on healthcare. And Republicans just passed a budget that calls, I'm not making this up, look it up, folks, for $880 billion in cuts to Medicaid and Medicare. Health care. We know, according to current polling, that the one issue that voters absolutely trust Democrats on is health care, protecting health care. So I was going to say up through last week, well, this is easy.
I would add Social Security into that too.
Well, yes. Boom. There you see, this is why you've been around the block. This is not your first rodeo. You're probably thinking back to your first rodeo 20 years ago. When I was a congressional staffer, 2005, what does George W. Bush do? By the way, look up George W. Bush.
I talked about that in my rant in the beginning, which is Nancy Pelosi was very helpful way back then in whipping votes and stopping that. The problem is she didn't realize she's 112. And if she's at this point, I'm sorry, I don't care anymore. I've been respectful to these people.
Sorry, not sorry. Yeah.
I'm not sorry. I'm done. Go away.
Yeah.
You've got grandkids somewhere. I don't care if they're like underneath your bed. You've got them locked in a closet somewhere. Go see them.
So here's what I don't understand. 20 years ago, they put out Star Wars, right? We put out this big, smart opposition to George W. Bush's Social Security privatization scheme. George W. Bush came in with the exact same winning margin. Look this up. This is a fun Google. Look up the breakdown in the House, the Senate, the governorships, the state legislatures, and his winning margin and his electoral college margin, almost identical to what Trump just got. And he made the same classic mistake. He came in and he said, well, I've got a mandate. I've got political capital. I'm going to spend it. That was literally his words, not mine.
Yep.
And what did he want to spend it on? Social Security privatization.
Even though he hadn't, for people, just to be clear, he had not once mentioned Social Security
not
during
a
his
single
race.
time. Ranked 1% of voters in polling at the time identified Social Security privatization as a priority to them. 1%. So we've run this playbook. We ran a smart campaign where we had real people. I remember we did the events on Capitol Hill. We bust them in from my boss's congressional district in Maine. Real people talking about, you do this, you hit my Social Security, this is going to devastate my family. And it worked. It dragged him down.
And we
And
should,
today,
the same idea to just jump onto that and then I'll kick it back to you, which is,
yeah.
why would we not have folks who have had chemo and survived cancer? Why would we not have folks who've survived and diabetes, other things, showing up also to talk about Medicare and Medicaid and how they or their family members will die if the Republican thing is passed? Just be clear with people what the stakes are here.
Good friend of mine, his dad is in for surgery. He's a vet. He's at a VA hospital. In the waiting room, all of the discussion, I know this is an anecdote, but the plural of anecdote is data. All of the discussion is vets, people who are in for treatment at the VA hospital, worried off their butts about what Trump is going to do to their healthcare through the VA. And so today, this is my final point, then I'll stop ranting. Today,
No, please.
ProPublica, our good friends at ProPublica, come out with a story revealing that throughout a closed door meeting last week, the acting administrator of the Social Security Administration made alarming statements about the perils facing the Social Security system, leaving people baffled. People in the meeting are baffled about what's going to happen to Social Security. And he says basically that he's just doing whatever the Doge kids say. His words, not mine. Social Security is under threat right now.
Teenage mutant racist hackers, as I believe Jamie Raskin called them. Yes,
absolutely. And we
racist in a half shell.
Pick your approach. Right, racist on the half shell. Well, that's toxic and delicious. I love it. So yeah, that's my whole argument. It's like, Cliff, I'm with you. You know, Senate Democrats, go ahead and let the shutdown happen, but make a stand on an issue that we know the American people are with us on, and put a real dent. I mean, Trump is already going downhill in his approval rating. His ratings on the economy already underwater.
Lowest ever, actually. It's already lower than it ever was during the first term.
Second lowest only to himself in the first term.
I wonder what it could be. It's almost like the stock market's tanking.
Yeah, something like that. And people are getting fired from jobs that they had no idea they get fired from. Not with like 24. I mean, not with a 2-week sort of, hey, you've got 2 weeks, like a literal email, like get the hell out, because that's the class of the people we're dealing with.
That's my message to you, is he is already slipping over the cliff's edge. Let's give him a push. And the way to do it, see what I did there? And the way to do it is
nicely done, by the
healthcare
way,
or Social Security. All right, I'll shut up.
So I want to take it back to the Social Security real quick, because Elon Musk, speaking that the Doge kids, the teenage mutant racist Dogers,
hackers,
whatever they're called, hackers. That's what I think of when I did. But
well, that's what he was going for. I think that's what he was going for there. So
in the interview with Larry Kudlow, in between him crying about how Tesla's tanking because he did
between Kudlow taking snorts of cocaine.
Right, that's true. But in that interview with Kudlow, when they got to the entitlements, which I hate when they call it that, because these are earned benefits, these are not entitlements. You're not entitled to these things; you earn these things, which is the reason why they have to pay you. That's the entitlement. But here's the thing. He said in that interview, Elon Musk, the head of the teenage mutant racist hackers, he said that entitlements is the thing, and he used the word eliminate. It's the thing that we're going to eliminate. Eliminate. He used words entitlement and eliminate. There's a couple things you don't do in politics, in my book, is use the word education and eliminate, and use the word Social Security or Medicare and eliminate. Even though these things are things that people do not like. Let me be very clear. Our education system in this country is very unpopular. It's not popular at all. Social Security in this country is very unpopular. It's not popular. Medicare is very unpopular. It's not popular.
But that's only when you look at you maybe you're going to get to that.
I want to clarify. The reason why is because it's not good enough. It's not good enough.
We go.
It's not good enough. Social Security isn't high enough to raise people's boats when they retire. Medicare only covers 80% of your doctor's bill, and it's still on the Part A on the hospital side. You have huge deductibles, which, by the way, George Bush tried to privatize with Part D and Medicare Advantage, and he was unsuccessful because privatizing stuff like this doesn't work. Social Security or Medicare. You look at things like Medicaid. It is unpopular, and the reason why is because it's not enough to fill those gaps. Speaking of Medicare and George W. Bush, he came up with Part D, and there was called the donut hole. Do you remember that? Like, oh, we're just called the donut hole, and the American people love it because they love donuts. Right. Yep. They love donuts.
That was the vote I was talking about, by the way, where they had to corral a number of members of that House Republican caucus because they were hiding because they didn't want to take the vote.
Right. Now, the reason why education is unpopular is because it's not good enough. It's not because these things can't be good. It's not because we don't have success. It's not that we cannot have success. It's that we elect people who fundamentally make sure that Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, and education in this country suck. They make sure.
I got an idea. You want them to be good? Take the money for every one of that jackass's rockets that blow up, for every one of his cyber trucks that blow up, which, by the way, is now 17 times the rate of fire-related injuries from the Ford frickin' Pinto. Okay, so anybody knows any history, the Cybertruck is a big piece of crap that looks like two toasters humped and now blows up on you too. Okay,
I called it a campground urinal earlier. I don't know if
that works. Like true. Like one of those nice long urinals,
right? But, well, it's the stainless steel one that just goes in a hole. There's no really sewage or anything. It just goes and they pump it out.
I mean, you know what? All this stuff it's solvable. I could give it to you. Here, it's a two-part plan. Here's part one: cut all of Elon Musk's subsidies. That's part one. Part two is create a new tax rate called the 102% income tax for Elon Musk. You do those two things, we'll have all the healthcare, family and medical leave, Social Security. And if I get more serious, and I will for a second, because this, I think we talked about it the other day, Tony, and this is an issue that because I worked on defending it the last time they had tried to assault it, I know a lot about. We have a ridiculous, and it ends up being regressive system where we have a Social Security tax that right now only taxes the first 170 something thousand or whatever of your income. So these rich assholes pay it on that, just like anybody else who makes up to that, and they don't pay anymore. Flip it. Say from now on up to $175,000, you're not paying 1 cent. But for every dollar above that, we're going to institute this tax rate, and you would have Social Security till the cows came in. You would have so much Social Security funding, you wouldn't know what the hell to do with it.
I got to go here soon. You know me, I like to leave in the middle of things. But here's the thing. I've got an idea. When we get rid of Donald Trump and we get a new president, I think what we should do is we should start a whole agency, okay? A whole new agency. It'll be for efficiency, let's say that. And that new president can appoint me, Tony Michaels. And what I will do, and
I support this already, by the way.
I promise the American people what I will do with my new given power by the president of the United States. What I will do is I will go and I will investigate every single penny Elon Musk has ever earned, has ever had, has ever possessed, and I will impound every single bit of it. I will impound it all. I will make him pay back all the government contracts, okay? Then what I will do is
Can he pay back all the apartheid emeralds that his family took too? Or?
Sure, we'll go take those too. But what we will do is I will round him up. We will arrest him. We will send him to the concentration camp that Trump opened at Gitmo, okay? We will send him there, and then eventually we will deport him back where he came from. And I think this is all legal. It seems to be to me that this is all legal. This is all okay. This is all normal. And I think that what we could do is we could start doing this, not just to Elon Musk, but we could be doing this to a lot more people in the same situation that Elon Musk is in. If they don't like the situation that they have here in this country and they don't respect the citizens and the people and the humans, and especially our government and our system of government, if we can do that, I mean, I'm all for it. I think that's a program.
I'll say in 2 seconds and kick it to Matt. You could, all the stuff you said could be filed in legal cases against this guy, because again, it seems relatively clear at this point that he was not working here legally. when he was working to begin with on PayPal and other things, that he had overstayed his visa. And so, fruit of the poison tree, how about we just confiscate everything that came after that, because he did not have the legal basis to work here. If that's what he wants to do, and we were kicking out immigrants, he can go first, and Melania can go second if they can find her.
My only caveat to this is that we get a really good video of him in shackles getting on the plane while they're sending him back to South Africa. That's all I want. That's all I want. I just
actually I don't. I want to hear the cops music playing in the background. I want the cops music in the background, and I want Elon Musk like shirtless with tattoos, and these guys to come flying over the hood and just start.
Yeah. On the other hand, I like Tony's version. Do you see how he was doing the little shuffle, like from The Fugitive? It's like, there was a one-armed man who attacked my country, and he was from South Africa. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. That's
I like it.
I think the shackles would be good. I don't know. It's just an idea. I have. Just an idea I'm throwing around. I don't know if anyone's ever tried it before. I don't know if they've ever tried it before, or that if it would be successful. It seems like it probably wouldn't work. Like, for instance, if someone tried to do this, they probably would deport less people because they were so focused on the reality show. They were so focused on things that actually help the economy, and they would hurt the economy. It feels like all those things would probably happen if someone actually tried to do something like that. I don't know. Maybe I'm off my rocker. Boys, it's good to see you, Matt. It's good to see you, Cliff, as always.
Yeah, I got a little bit of my energy back today, I'd say.
Yeah, well, that's what I do to
Getting pissed off can do a hell of a lot for you.
Tony Michaels, he's like a shot of Red Bull.
That's right. Stay pissed, everybody. Stay pissed. Cliff, we'll see you. Matt, we'll see you guys.
Take care, man.
That'd be a great name for a show. Blue Bull.
Blue Bull. Yeah, it sounds a little like something else. Blue Bull, stay pissed.
Yeah, right.
I don't know. Yeah,
take it all back.
You're a congressional staffer, and you have a let's call it a more moderate, or let's call it sane temperament than I do. So, depending on how one wants to put it. I mean, I don't understand how you don't get, after a while, and I think my Democratic bona fides, writing ads for Biden in 20 and stuff I did for Democrats on making gun safety an issue. We went on offense to defeat Republicans in numerous elections, and of various other races around the country and everything. I have stuck with the party. It's the only vehicle by which we can win, and we can have anything between moderate and progressive governance. And I'm still in that place. But I'm just, it's exhausting when you see your people fight with like one arm and two legs tied behind their backs, and just to keep giving in to this other side. I don't understand when somebody keeps hitting you saying, hit me more. I don't understand it. It makes me mad.
I mean, there's an argument. I don't think it's correct, but it's the James Carville argument, which is, and it goes back to an old principle in politics, which is, this is gruesome. I'm sorry, this is gruesome, but this is the way it's said. If your opponent is hanging himself, keep feeding him rope. There's another version,
this
which
is the anvil version of it. That's
don't get in the way when your opponent is, like messing themselves up. And that's what James Carville wrote a little over a week ago in the New York Times. He said, look, it's strategic, watchful waiting. Let's stand back, because Donald Trump, and he has a point about this. Trump is stepping further and further onto trapdoors. He's setting the trap for himself. You see it with all of the Doge stuff. You see it with the federal worker cuts. He's removing, he's not only lobotomizing the functions and the agencies that he needs to carry out the rest of his agenda, but he's removing all of the capabilities that he needs in order to keep some semblance of economic and social stability, right? Like, you remove nuclear safety people, you remove folks from the FAA. I'm looking forward to that, since I'm flying on Saturday.
Yeah, the ones who follow Ebola, that was a good move. You definitely want to get rid of them.
The food safety monitoring, the bird flu, after a while, all of this adds up. So again, I get the argument, but where it falls apart, I really
think it's a bad argument. Okay, good. You're
gonna where it falls apart for me is, we have plans on the shelf right now. We have examples from not like ancient history, from relatively recent history. This is, by the way, this is how the Pentagon operates, right? They have war plans on the shelf all the time for every available scenario. What happened when Iraq invaded Kuwait? 1990. There was a plan off the shelf, and you can read the book about it. It's Bob Woodward.
Build the
went to
coalition,
shelf.
and I mean, yeah, we were ready
Right.
with. I mean,
They pulled the plan and they hit it. So we have these plans. We know there's the Social Security privatization playbook. We've run that before. Here's another one for you. It's been widely reported that Republicans are quietly telling their members, but not so quietly because it's been widely reported, do not do town halls. Don't
yeah, I
do
knew you were
town
going to
halls
say that
because you are vulnerable on healthcare. Let me tell you.
on everything. I mean, they've
as a
done this
con-
in the past too, where they're trying to hide, and you should be then following them around, yelling at them why they won't do town halls, and they're scared of their people.
I've still got PTSD from this. 2009, summer of 2009. I'm a chief of staff for a member of Congress who's running for the U.S. Senate, and we are getting hundreds of calls a day. Do a town hall. When are you going to do a town hall? It's like, come on. I double dog dare you. I triple dog dare you. They're trying to bait us into this. And finally, we're like, all right, well, what if we do this just to kind of lance the boil and not make it seem like we're ducking? So I called up the Democratic Senatorial Campaign Committee, and they said, Matt, you can't do it. We literally don't have the resources. We can't get the people in the room to shield you, to show support. It's going to be a bloodbath, and you're going to end up with a viral video moment. They still had those in 2009, even that far back.
Because Twitter was early on, but Facebook had gotten going by then. So
right,
you know,
and it's going to crush you. You can't. We just can't support it. We can't do it, and that's the position Republicans are in now. So we could run the town hall playbook on them. We could run the Social Security privatization playbook on them. We have all of these plans off the shelf.
Why not all of them?
Well, I get it, but honestly, any one plan would be better than nothing. And again,
but to me, they're related, right? I mean, it's like combining narratives. You can follow around, go after Republicans, pressure them, say, "Oh, the reason why you're too scared to have a town hall is because, like Elon Musk said, you're going to eliminate Social Security and make them answer. And when they run away and they don't answer, that's an answer, isn't it?" You can combine all of those. And I know because when we did a race here to try to take out and eventually successfully 2 years later, Steve Shabbat, the congressman in the swing race, like we were following around. He was scared to do anything and show his face in public because we were there. He ran away from us once at a 4th of July parade. It was one of my happier moments. I'm just, the point I'm trying to make, Matt, is, to go back to the Carville stuff. Look, I grew up being a fan of Carville. I think Carville's had a lot of good ideas along the way. I think, I don't want to say that maybe he is out of his element in this current state of politics. I don't think he necessarily is, but I think he's dead wrong about this. Because in a normal state of politics, where you've got two functioning political parties and one's more conservative and the George H.W. Bush days or the whatever, yeah, then maybe you say, okay, we have a functioning democracy and we need part of what democracy is compromise. There's some respect between both parties. There's some places you don't want to go. So maybe we don't do this, that, or the other thing. We're, as Tony was saying, all the guardrails are gone. We're not in that place anymore. We're in a completely different place. We're in a place where, the throw him an anvil line goes. If he's in quicksand, throw him an anvil, step on his head. These are metaphors, by the way, folks, not anything else. But it just is, to me, again, if all these negative things are coming out of the White House and they're doing all of this negative stuff, but people don't get it, as they didn't clearly in 2024 when they voted and didn't know a lot of this stuff, then it doesn't matter. It's a tree falling on the forest. If we are not out there making an offensive message on offense, telling people what's going on with regular press conferences, with regular spectacled events, with regular, bringing in people who are going to be harmed by this, all the various things we're talking about, and not just one of them and not just in one place, multiple ones across multiple agencies in multiple places and multiple capitals around the country and all this kind of stuff. That is how, and then put some paid messaging behind it, you drive a message that people get. This is the Republicans. They are going to eliminate your Medicare, Medicaid, and Social Security. You, who relies on that, will not survive. Done. I mean, that is what you need to do. Otherwise, people they won't know it because our media won't report it because our media sucks. Because corporate media is a joke.
Look at what Damon A is saying on YouTube right now. making reference to The Art of War. What is I mean, there are many great lessons from The Art of War. What's kind of the key lesson is you have to choose what's the field of battle that you're going to engage on, right?
Yep.
And that's really the
and you choose one favorable to you. As
you choose if half the battle is choosing the field of battle. And
yep,
I think what you're saying is so right that Democrats have to choose something. Now, there's a lot of options. There are a lot of plans on the shelf, and some of their choices have been baffling. So far, they're stuck between doing nothing and doing everything, right? Both of those are bad. When you do everything, you're kind of by default doing nothing because you don't have a clear message that breaks through to people. There's just too much noise out there. And if you do nothing, which is sort of what Carville's advising, then you're not handing the anvil to your opponent who may already be standing on quicksand.
And later they are able, this is a key point.
Right.
Okay. Donald Trump, again, we're not in normal politics. For all of George H.W. Bush's faults, and there are plenty, Willie Horton ads and such, he was not such an absolute pathological liar that he would look you in the face and tell you that what he did, the other side did. Right? When you do that. Well, Donald Trump, that's the thing, is that Donald Trump, if we are not educating people by having numerous press conferences, paid media, all the various things I'm talking about here, what will happen is Donald Trump will look you in the face. He'll look all of us in the face, and that enough is will turn us to stone. And then he'll just say, we're fighting. The Democrats are trying to cut your Social Security and Medicare. That's why they're against the CR, but we're trying to defend it because he can lie about anything and he knows it. And the right-wing media will get his back, and the corporate stooge media will say, well, Donald Trump claims that the CR will help Social Security while Democrats say it won't. I mean, so what it comes down to is, like, if you're not out there making the offensive, sort of message, and you're not on offense pointing out who these guys are, how they're the bad guys in the story, what they're trying to do, how this has been their obsession forever, how it's in Project 2025, how they tried it before under Bush, all these things. If you're not providing people with the messaging context, with the sympathy and empathy for people that have gone through this, by bringing people in who will suffer if their plans pass, and doing all of these various things, you're failing because you're not educating people. And in the end, Trump and people just like him because he's surrounded. What is the Republican Party at this point? It's a bunch of scumbags just like him, Ted Cruz and Mike Johnson and all of them. They'll just lie. They'll look you in the face and lie and say it's Democrats doing this. And a lot of the country will believe it.
Right. And I mean, again, it's not like you. I'm not trying to throw bombs at our own side here, right? And I can understand the impulse involved. There's a great chart from G. Elliott Morris, another Substacker, although not as big an account as you have at Cliff's Edge.
I've worked hard over there. Actually, it's Blue Amp is the Substack, but I can screw people up because Cliff's Edge is the column that'll be there. But I've got too many brands.
So go subscribe on Substack if you want all of this.
Blueamp.substack.com, everybody. It's growing.
It is growing. It is. You set the record. You set the all-time. You smashed the all-time record for a live stream. Anyway, we're doing an ad in the middle of the show, which we shouldn't do.
Oh, but that's nice of you to say.
Morris
Thank you.
has this on Substack, has a great chart showing the historic pattern of how approval rating goes down for presidents over the first 100 days, the first few months, right? And again, it's understandable to say, well, this is happening naturally, so let's not get in the way of it. And it's hard. Look, Democrats, I know. I've been there. I've been in the debates in rooms of members of Congress, getting these guys who and gals, I use that non-gender specific, getting them on the same page is hard. I get it. But it's not that hard to understand. I mean, James Carville.
Well, but there also are a few of them, I don't mean to, but just to throw this out there as a thought, that there are a few of them who have not waited, thankfully. They're out there.
Yeah,
and they're saying these things, right? Jamie Raskin,
but it's scattershot.
I just highlighted on here, and Jasmine Crockett and people like that. Why not just unleash them if you're the leadership, step the F back, and let the people who know what the hell they're doing and can communicate.
The only thing is they have to pick one thing. They have to pick a focus area. And again, the irony of this coming from James Carville is that He was there to witness it during the Clinton administration. What happened in the Clinton administration? He was already running into some difficulties because he put in the don't ask, don't tell policy kind of as his first policy move. That kind of halted his initial momentum. He came in with a ton of momentum.
And of course, let's always say,
and then,
you know, the way corporate media covered it, because
absolutely.
yes.
But how did Republicans draw some blood, right? It was Zoe Baird, Lonnie Guinier. It was stopping his attorney general nomination. It was the most minor thing in the world. If I just said names that are not familiar to you, that's how much historical significance it really has. But it's like Rocky IV. They showed he's not a machine. He's a man. He bleeds. He can be defeated. And that killed his momentum and it accelerated the downward slide. So Democrats—
He's just a man, Rock. He's just a man.
The lesson is pretty crystal clear. You do need to pick one. And you could kind of sneak it like you suggested, or Tony suggested.
I think you could do, I think,
Social
again,
Security and Medicare.
Most people's minds, Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid. And often, as we say, you want three messages. It's nice. Medicare and Medicaid have some alliteration too. You could easily have a message.
Well, people don't know the difference between them.
Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid.
Right.
Say it like
he wants to cut your Social Security and healthcare. That is a succinct message that is true. You have proof points behind it. And when you say, we would rather shut down the government than vote to support Donald Trump killing your healthcare and your—
and have
Social
you
Security,
eating cat food, I think people could understand.
That is a winning message. That is a winning message.
It's
one of your
easily winning
commenters
message again
on YouTube was just saying that she literally could not breathe without—
you know, I put that up before, that without
Social
Medicaid
Security.
Oh yeah, okay. So I mean, like, that's kind of my point here, is that if you don't, like, that's awful and horrible, by the way, and I'm sorry about that. And that's the thing, is that any normal person sees things like that, and that's the reaction they have if they're human. And most people have some humanity. Yes, there are too many among us who don't. But the point is that if you offensively make these arguments in various venues, some of them pre-planned, some of them just sneak up and surprise Republicans when they're not ready for it, throw a mic in front of their face. Again, shake up the tactics, do it in a variety of ways. Use TikTok, use YouTube, use Facebook, use what is out there to make some of these things go viral, you know, and come up with creative and interesting ways to do it. I mean, again, you brought up the thing I did on Substack. I mean, part of the reason that did as well as it did is, you know, because I'm an idiot and decided I'd do it for 12 hours. And I knew that would break through because people would be like, what the 12 hours? I mean, again, like, I'm not some genius. I just knew that would stick out of the ordinary and make people be like, wow, do that. Right. It's not that hard to come up with these kinds of ideas that will garner people's attention, because they're not the normal thing. They're not the normal way of doing things. Do some of those things, do some of the regular things, do some paid media, do some earned media, do some social media, coordinate around it. And as you said, relentlessly. Yes, there's 50 billion other things they're doing that are absolutely horrible. But if you want to win, relentlessly hammer home Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid. It will unite a large coalition of people from different classes and different races, people that are scared about their future, and they will join together, and they will be your army to fight this. And let them tell the stories about why they need it everywhere, all the time, and record it and put it up on paid media. I mean, like it just drives me nuts.
All right, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to chip into this effort right now, you and me, live. I'm coming up with this right here. Yes, thank you. There you go. There's the Substack right there. I'm telling you,
Jim, one of our moderators, he's on the ball here when it comes to this.
On the ball. Thank you, Jim. And by the way, since I contribute there from time to time, I'm being
Matt does, and he'll have a Substack coming too. There's going to be a launch, and we're going to make sure that you all support and follow when Matt launches his Substack. He'll contribute to mine, but he's going to have his own too. And having worked on Capitol Hill, among other things, has certain other areas of expertise, because I'm a campaign rat. So what I know about are the things that win campaigns. I have a policy background, so I understand a lot of policy, but I do not understand close in the way the way Matt does how to make things move
Well, thank
forward
you.
on Capitol Hill and all of that.
Hey, listen, not all congressional staffers are just the larval form of lobbyists. Some of us go on to interesting media careers.
Some of you don't sell out everything you ever believed in.
I love my lobbyist friends. I do. I love. But look, we're going to contribute to this right now on my pod, which we feature on here on Cliff's Edge on YouTube clips. I'm going to invite the authors of that ProPublica story right now, as soon as we're done with this show, to come on, talk about their story, diving deep on what's happening in Social Security. We need to blue amp this. We need to amplify this kind of message. And maybe if you and I do it enough, you have like the 4th biggest Substack on earth. Like if you do this enough, right? Maybe Democrats will follow along. It's like, yeah.
Well, that's why, honestly, like that was why it was such an opportunity and why I put some other things aside. And I really wanted very badly to launch that and launch it in a way that it would become that big. And that's in all seriousness, because what I knew would happen was, it's easy to ignore us. Even at 110 or 111,000 YouTube subscribers or whatever, which I'm pretty happy with, and we're growing rapidly again and all of that. But obviously, Mr. Beast has 50 million. There are people out there with all sorts of much larger accounts, and so we can make a difference here. The great thing about Substack is, as you said, my 600 or whatever thousand subscribers there makes me 4th or 5th biggest. That means it's hard for them to ignore on the fastest growing news platform in the country. So that provides me with a voice, and I intend to use that voice. And I'm sorry if at times that voice is not going to sound like dulcet tones to Democrats, but if you do the right damn thing, it will. Because I still believe by far the Democratic Party is what will save this country.
Right. But, and I think the thing is that all of the conditions are there. It's just, like we have the ideas, we have great people on our side, and there's more of us out there. And there's more people in the kind of exhausted majority, people who are open-minded to kind of like, hey, let's save our country. Let's get it back.
That seems like a good idea. Why don't we do that?
While we're at it, very interesting statistic came through in a recent set of polling. I want to say it was from our friends at Global Strategy Group. I want to give proper credit, but they found that while Donald Trump's approval rating right now is split about even, about 48% disapprove, 47% approve, something like that. About a quarter of the people who say that they currently
I thought it was
approve,
at 45. Am I wrong about that?
It's right about different polling outfits are finding it at slightly different numbers. There's a little variation there, but the take home is that from starting at a positive net approval, he's now come back down to earth in just a few short weeks.
Yeah, this is the honeymoon period too. Like this is when you're supposed to have it easy.
Yeah.
And he crashed so quickly.
He's crashing.
Like the worst approval rating since like 1953 or something. So,
and here's the opportunity. And here's the opportunity. A quarter of the people who say that they're currently approving of Donald Trump say that they're only doing it because he's so new back in the job and they feel like he deserves.
They're giving him a chance.
Right. So that means, they're
He'll
open.
screw that up.
They're ready.
Don't worry.
Right. They're ready. And so all we need to do is step into that gap. And that's where I think people like you and people like me can come in, and on this channel, we can provide some of this. So, look, recently I had Chuck Schumer's former right-hand man for policy on the show. He's now he does stuff off the Hill. He kind of helps advocacy groups.
Can he reach back out to his old boss and tell him to grow a set of? Okay,
we talked about this exact thing. We talked about the budget negotiations, the continuing resolution negotiations. And one of the points I made with him is like, hey man, look, you can find this on Beyond Politics. You can find it on your channel. If people look back, I was like, look, I don't think people really understand the distinction between the continuing resolution to fund the budget and the budget that they're setting for next year. And so let's take advantage of that. Let's lean into that. We don't have to explain it to people, even though we're Democrats and that's in our DNA. Let's just draw the line here and say, you know what? Doesn't matter. You're trying to cut $880 billion from Social Security and Medicare. So
now, by the way, you're speaking my language, which is, again, you don't even have to blatantly lie about things like they do. But I'm sorry, we don't have to go into every little nuance.
we don't have to.
Tell them
I like to
overall,
obsess about stuff like
well,
this.
this is part of this bill, but that's part of that bill. That crap doesn't matter. Here's what they're going to cut. Here's how it's going to hurt you. They're doing it because they're evil bastards. They're doing it
And we're
because
gonna
that
fight
that weirdo with the EQ of a lawn chair who can't walk in the White House with, or can't seemingly go anywhere without having a toddler up on top of his head. It's one of his like 427 kids wiping boogers all over the place.
Are we
thinks,
sure
you
that
know,
the one he's carrying around is one of his kids? Like,
my guess is
we
he
verified
kidnapped it.
that.
My guess is, well, it was, the kid was dumb enough that I had a low enough EQ that I'm suspicious. But otherwise, as far as I'm concerned, as far as with Elon, like, I don't take any of his crap. All right, he didn't belong there. I don't give a damn, and it's not legal, and I don't care about his stupid money, which he's losing now all the time. Just take him on, tell people the truth, and again, there's a story here, and Republicans. I mean, it's just like when we let them get away with some of the Russia stuff. It's like they built the entire story for us. How long did Nixon and Reagan and all these people talk about Russia as evil, 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 evil? And it's like the easiest thing for us in the world to be like constantly, not just sometimes, not just when we're pissed off, not just when it's particularly obvious because Donald Trump does something like yells at Zelensky, but to constantly be like, oh, you mean Donald Trump who's owned by Putin? Oh, Donald Trump who Putin runs? Oh, I mean, it should be a constant message. Russia controls Donald Trump. This is easy. Okay. And then there's numerous other messages like that just should be at the tip of our tongues all the time and constantly repeat it.
Well, I mean, it's easy, right? It's kind of easy. Like, if you were going to a town hall, you would just say, explain to me, Mr. Republican Congressman, what parts of Medicare and Medicaid you're going to cut out of the $880 billion.
Right.
Just explain that to me. And for Democrats, it's easy too. Just say, we will not pass anything. We will not vote for anything until you pledge to protect Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid.
And
No
frankly,
cuts.
any cuts that are in there must absolutely be removed. I mean, that's
right.
Pretty simple.
And make them defend it. Make them defend it, because again,
here's an
it's
interesting
not like
one.
we're just making stuff up.
I don't know. This is probably worth talking about too. Thank you, Barbara. Did you know about this, Matt?
Yeah. Well, this goes on.
I mean, I just kind of assume they raise their own pay all the time because they're such assholes. But I didn't know specifically they were.
All right. So you want to know how this? Here's the benefit / penalty to having a congressional nerd on the show. So years ago, there was a bipartisan pact. Let's not fight the pay raise, because as soon as we politicize the pay raise, like whoever's in the majority is going to have to put this into the budget. Otherwise, we'll never get a pay raise. Guess what pact fell apart? That one. And so,
like every other pact that they had to work together on everything.
And so, it's just been a fight every single time. Now, Barbara, this is very interesting. Thank you for bringing this up. I did not realize that they were actually trying it. I can't see how Thomas Massey isn't having a literal cow over this.
Well, I think he is right now. They're fighting back and forth. But what I don't see is how, let's say, if you wanted to add another message, and again, people can understand, numerous studies have shown that people can understand between 3 and 5 key messages. I honestly believe, even if you're talking, and especially if you combine Medicare and Medicaid into healthcare, I mean, listen to this, right? And people always need a story. Who's the good guy? Who's the bad guy? Why are they doing what they're doing? Pretty simple. Hey, guess what, guys? These evil fucks are they're cutting your Social Security. They're eliminating your Medicare and Medicaid so that they can raise their own pay. Done. I mean, the good side of the equation, the bad side of the equation, the good guys, the bad guys, and a story there. And I don't give a damn how accurate that is. They're doing both of those things. Whether they need to do one of them to do the other anyhow. Say it.
Well, and easy. I mean, it's so...
You could pin them to the freaking wall with that.
This is another example, as you're pointing out. This is another example of the plan is sitting there. You know how recent this one is? The messaging is as fresh as December because we literally just went through this. The congressional pay has been at, oh boy, sorry, I know you said there'd be no math on this exam, but it's been at $174,000.
Oh, look at you with the Chevy Chase line.
Yeah. It's been at $174,000.
Are you gonna do Bassomatic next? I'm just kidding.
Go. That's the right. Or stun your own cattle, make your own steaks.
Exactly.
So it's been 174,000 for the last 15 years. That's the max. In December, Republicans tried to raise it to 240,000. You know who called it out? Elon freaking Elmo Musk. He
did something good for
public
once
with it, right? So they pulled it out. And now, thank you, Barbara, for pointing out they're trying to sneak it back in. It's so obnoxious. It's so obnoxious when they're trying to cut your Social Security and your Medicare and your Medicaid. It's so obnoxious.
So here's what I would do. I think we're still at that point where if you were to adjust for inflation, where the minimum wage used to be the 80s, 90s before they started froze, and we haven't raised it since the 2000 aughts or whatever it is. What I would say is, okay, you want your pay raise? Here's your deal. We're going to adjust for inflation, and I believe, if I'm correct now, that would make the minimum wage $22 or $23 an hour. I think it's something like that. I remember reading. I could be wrong, so you can check my numbers on it or whatever. But I would say, fine. You want your pay raise? You can have your pay raise. We're raising the minimum wage to $23 an hour. Your choice.
Yeah. I mean,
can you imagine how that would, considering the minimum wage raise is literally one up there with Social Security, Medicare as one of the most popular issues, routinely gets 70% plus support. That if you sat there and you said, that's our requirement, and again, took a bold stand, it doesn't matter if it ever happens. I mean, it does. We want it to happen to help people, but I'm talking about politically. Again, symbolism, strength, telling people who you are morally, ethically. It draws a line in the sand and says, here is the price.
Yes. Simple and consistent. Simple and consistent.
If you're going to get your pay raise so you can enjoy yourself out at Old Abbott's a couple more times for some of those extra dirty martinis you like, Nancy Mace. I just picked on her for the hell of it because I hate her. But pick on a few of them. Say that. Well, then we're going to make sure that folks have enough money to feed their families. And so they're going to get $23 an hour. Because that's the other thing I would do that we don't do. I mean, all this decorum is broken down. Do Oppo on them. Get pictures of them in their Ferraris and, and all of their stuff. Get pictures of them acting like the rich a-holes they are. And then show that to people. Be like, here's who wants a pay raise.
Well, it's a strategy as old as time, but that doesn't mean we're going to necessarily make use of it. And look, I don't want to be.
Well, it's what drives me nuts. Again,
it drives me nuts.
You don't have to use every strategy you and I have come up with here. You don't have to embrace every single thing. They don't have to do everything, the way Cliff Schechter thinks. I hate that I just referred to myself in the third person, but the way that I think that they should do it. I'm wrong about plenty of things in life, but this stuff, what we talked about before, healthcare and Social Security, straightforward, simple issues. We win on them every time, enormously popular, and make it very clear that there is not a damn thing being passed until not only do they sign a pledge, they won't touch any of those, but those do not exist in any form in any bills that we are looking at. Otherwise, have fun. I guess go find something else to do with your time. You can go play golf with Donald Trump, but he'll cheat and kick the ball up the damn course, as Rick Riley wrote a whole book about, and rip you off there and probably bet you and take your money. But you're losers anyhow, and you like to genuflect to a fat Jabba the Hutt-esque dictator, so you'll be fine.
Oh, Jabba no Bada. I'm going to give you one other example, right out of your backyard. Okay, you wrote the book on John McCain. People may not know this. You wrote the book.
Hey, look,
The Real McCain.
It's even up there.
The Real McCain, right? Now, an interesting thing, if you're a real nerd, like an unredeemable nerd, I don't know who would do this. I did it. I don't know who else would do this.
I don't know who would do this. I did.
I did this. You can go back and you can look in the year 2000 when McCain ran for president, what the salience of the campaign finance reform issue was. What I mean is,
Wow.
how did it rank in polling? How important did people think it was? And I will tell you, I've done the work for you. It was 27th at the start of the presidential cycle, and it rose to 3rd because John McCain spoke about it relentlessly. Was he right? Was he wrong? Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. The point is, if you're disciplined, you can drive a message. And if you have the benefit of your message being true, full of proof points, you can do it even more effectively. In that case, John McCain had a point. He did have a point behind him. And that's why it resonated so much.
I wrote a book that was very critical of how he turned after the 2000 election when he ran, and I thought he ran on moderate issues and could be a uniter, turned in so that he could get the Republican nomination and kissed Rove's butt and all of that and criticized him in 2008. That's a lot of what the book is about. But even with all of that said, he'd be a saint in this current party.
Absolutely.
In this current part, you can't forget that he was the one who gave the thumbs down and did not get rid of Obamacare.
Right.
The world we would be living in right now,
absolutely,
if his thumb had gone in the other direction, would be a horrific one in terms of healthcare outcomes, in terms of people needlessly dying, needlessly getting sick, needlessly losing production time at their work and all the other things that would happen. So again, I can criticize the hell out of McCain, and there are plenty of things I would still criticize him on, but my God, compared to this crew.
Yeah.
I mean,
so my point is, you literally wrote the book on this. And so the example is sitting right there. And fast forward to 2018, what did we do? We picked an issue. It was healthcare. We ran on it relentlessly in the midterms and we won. Was it the right issue? Well, scholars are literally on both sides of that, but it doesn't matter.
How we did it? And I know you know.
We were disciplined.
We were disciplined, but we also did what, again, and folks, I'm sorry, I'm going to be objective about all of this stuff, right? Barack Obama had some great messaging moments. He admitted after his presidency that his biggest failure was thinking that he had such good policies that they would take care of themselves and he didn't need to go out and explain them to people. Yeah. What the Republicans did was they Sarah Palin and all of them, they're like, oh, they're going to kill grandma. They took one or two things out of context, and they took the one most unpopular part of it, the mandate. And had we been responding with, that's not what Obamacare is. Obamacare allows your children to stay on your healthcare till they're 26. So they don't go through a huge gap where they have no healthcare. Obamacare means that you do never again have to worry about not having healthcare because you have a pre-existing condition. Obamacare means that they can never ever give you a lifetime limit and say, sorry, your cancer costs too much, your treatment, you're cut off. If we had stuck to, again, 3 message points, the 3 parts of Obamacare, which is what we did in 2018, by the way, it just took us however many years to do it. If we had done that right away, they never would have made it as unpopular as it was, because people, again, if you don't message to people, kind of like what I'm saying about Social Security and Medicare now, if you do not tell them what it is that you're doing, the other side will lie about it. The mainstream media will flip-flop on both sides on it, and people will never know, and they'll think that we are the bad guys. Often you have to make those arguments to people. You have to go out and message. And it's the healthcare thing, and this is what you brought up, I'm going to say, because what you brought up about what McCain did with campaign finance reform is so important. For years, like it seemed like the default stance, and this is one of those things that is changing, but the default stance was Republicans looked at polls and said, how are we going to change those numbers? And Democrats looked at them and said, okay, those are the numbers. What do we have to do to win over voters? You change the damn numbers because you can go within polling and look at all the various demographic groups and all of the various arguments and messages you can make and use and all of that. And you can take something that has not been popular and make it popular. If you do it, if you're willing to go out there and fight for it. And that, again, was, the biggest example I can give of that is we're all celebrating, we're all enjoying ourselves. It's not election night, I don't believe it was inaugural night, whichever of those nights it was in 2008, 2009. Barack Obama's in his honeymoon period still, which again, for most presidents, Donald Trump just figured he'd make his presidential honeymoon look like most of his actual honeymoons, which is everybody hates him. And Obama was still in his honeymoon. He had a 70% approval rating. Even people that were conservative were proud of this country for the fact that we'd come, and elected an African-American man. All these bastards got together. It's been written about at a restaurant and said, okay, Obama's at 70%. We need to start chipping away at that right away. What do we do to lower his numbers so that he stops being a net positive and becomes a
Exactly.
net negative? That's
Continue.
what they
Yes.
do.
Yes.
That's what
Yes.
they do. And that is what we don't do enough of, nearly often enough. Look at whatever few positives Donald Trump has when it comes to polling on him and destroy them. Look at whatever, I mean, we've got big elections coming up this year. This is not going to be a normal off year. Okay. We will have Senate elections in Ohio and Florida. And I will say this to you. Yes, you're like, oh, well, those are conservative states and all this stuff. Florida, I don't know how much faith I have in it anymore, sadly, because they went against the grain in 2022 and still voted for Republicans overwhelmingly when Trump wasn't on the ballot. But the one thing I will say to you about Ohio, and we are definitely a red state at this point, but a very winnable red state when Trump is not on the ballot. All those guys that turn out, young, angry white guys who only turn out and vote for Trump, don't show up during other years. It's why in 2022, we had 3 swing House seats. We won all 3. We won a Supreme Court race or 2 in this state. Like, it depends who runs. Sherrod Brown may decide he's not going to run again. He's 72 or 3. I get it if he decides that. But if he runs, I will tell you right now, he outperformed the top of the ticket, Kamala Harris, by about 8 or 9 points. He absolutely could win that seat in an off year. Now, Florida, the problem is so many people, it's not just the people that turn out for Trump when he's on the ballot. It's that so many lunatics moved down there because of the COVID protests, and that became like COVID protest central. I don't know how that's, so I don't know where, and also, frankly, sadly, a lot of the male Latino vote started going against us, which harmed us, very badly too. So I don't know where Florida is. I don't know if we can win that race. I can tell you right now, if we have the right Democrat here, we can win the race in Ohio in an off year without Trump on the ballot. That would help in the Senate. We might be able
you would know better than anyone in terms of the Ohio ground. And look, I know we're reaching the end and we got a break here any minute, but look, I think this is absolutely mission critical because right now, the backstop, the thing that
Can I just say quickly too, as you get to that,
go.
there's 3 House races up too. We win 2 of those, we have a majority.
That's exactly, no, I'm glad you did, because that's exactly where I was going with this. Right now, the backstop, the protection against absolute autocracy, and I'm not trying to be hyperbolic about this, but the protection against absolute free reign for Donald Trump is the court system. Now, Trump, in his first term, appointed about a quarter of the federal appellate level. That's the courts that hear most federal cases. Supreme Court only hears about 100. They only do about 100 rulings a year. The vast majority of consequential cases are in those appeals courts.
And Biden appointed a lot of folks too as a response.
Biden exactly clawed back. He appointed about 25% as well. The problem is, over the next 2 years, there are vacancies currently. Trump is going to be able to backfill them in. So we've got this protection.
And that's why you shut down the government and do stuff like that to slow everything down.
It's like, well, it's like a sandcastle, basically. It's like we have this wall, it is eroding. It is critical. It is critical to the survival of America that we flip at least one chamber so that we have some layer of protection in 2026. And the way to do it is to not just stand by and let Trump kind of slide over the cliff's edge. It's to actually give him a push. The way to do it is what you just said. And if we're being relentless, a la McCain with campaign finance reform, and we're being smart, a la picking the battles that we can win, picking the ground that we can win, we put ourselves in the best chance to do that in 2026.
And we have proof of concept again already. Just like we kept seeing when Trump wasn't on the ballot, all between 2017 and 2024, and even in 2020, he didn't perform quite as strongly when he was on the ballot. We saw within 3 weeks or 4 weeks, however long it was, of Trump of November, we saw the exact thing play out that we saw for all of those years. State Senate seat, I've brought this up before, in Iowa. The Republican who had represented that seat ran at the same time for state Senate and lieutenant governor, because we still allow people to do that, even though it's freaking ridiculous. Won the lieutenant governor seat, won the state Senate seat by 22 points, resigned from the state Senate, became lieutenant governor. Donald Trump in that same election, 2024, won that seat by 21 points. And then we have a Democrat come along and in a special election, no Donald Trump on the ticket, none of that stuff, we win by 2.5 points. It is a switch of almost a quarter of the electorate. Okay. And my guess is based on turnout and all this other stuff. So we've already shown that in deep red districts, when Trump is not on the ballot, what we can do, which means because of the backlash. And the backlash against him right now is worse than at any time during his first term, I believe, or you maybe said second to worst. It's pretty close. So seats that normally would not be in play, an Elise Stefanik type seat, is in play. I haven't looked at that is a very Republican seat. I haven't looked at the other two in Florida. I feel like one of those is very Republican, but also could be doable. And one of them is so Republican as to almost be impossible. But if we could win those seats, again, it's about, people don't often think about, can't think broadly enough, creatively enough of, we do this, then what's the after effect? It's not just winning those seats and taking a chamber. Think about how it affects the media coverage. Think about how it affects the morale of activists. Think about how it affects the Democratic Party's belief in itself. Think about how it affects Republicans who aren't sure they're doing the right thing. Think about the strength it shows to which is how you win these days. It's not with issues, how you win. The couple percent of swing voters, sadly, is they really seem to go with whoever seems to have more confidence in themselves. I mean, there's just so many. And so we have that proof in Iowa. And we've got elections coming up, both for the U.S. Senate this year, and we've got these special House races, and we've got Spanberger, and Mickey Sherrill. I always get it mixed up if it's Mickey or Mikey in New Jersey. Both of them running, both of them terrific candidates running for governor. Like there are a lot of victories, and we have Eric Adams and Andrew Cuomo in New York, and maybe we can find somebody else to win there. I would hope, or maybe we should just open up the prisons and see who else wants to run too. I don't know, but in some of those big mayor's races, that's going to matter. Like all this stuff matters because all of it plays into perception, plays into media coverage. And again, it all starts with messaging. It all starts with putting them on the defense, with blaming them for the things they've done wrong, with pointing out what it is they're trying to do to harm people and how we are trying to defend people. And that's that. That's it.
That's it.
It really isn't more difficult than that. But why we can't have somebody organize this and say, okay, AOC, great at talking. As I've said before, I don't care anymore. I'm united with people that fight for democracy. I don't agree with AOC on everything. Don't care. He's terrific in fighting for our democracy. Jasmine Crockett, same. Chris Murphy, same. Pete Buttigieg, same. Fan these folks out on different days to different departments, particularly those that are around Social Security and Medicare and some of the things we've talked about, and have them talk about what Republicans are doing to attack these very programs. Maybe outside the Social Security Administration, outside of Health and Human Services, outside of the Capitol building, outside of the White House, outside of bunch of simultaneous press conferences with people, be creative. You can do it. I know you can do it. I really do.
Couldn't have said it better.
So what else you got going on, Matt? Anything else?
I'm about to leave for the Celtics game. I'm as a Western Mass person, so I'm looking forward to that.
How long is the drive from there to Boston?
About 2 hours.
Well, it's not bad. I don't know why I thought it was worse than that.
Yeah.
So you even as a New Yorker like me, you've traded in for the Celtics now?
Yeah.
It's actually the smart move. The Knicks,
I've been in New England so long. Look, after you run a congressional race and it's like establishing domicile or common law marriage. Like at a certain point,
you're common law married to the Celtics. That's awesome.
Yeah, like when you run enough political campaigns somewhere, you kind of have to root for the sports teams, right? Like once I'd been the chief of staff for a guy running for U.S. Senate in New England, and then a congressional
used to like wearing the hats and doing all the crap you had to do.
That's it. I'm the Celtics guy.
You start talking, say to the reporters and be like, "Yeah, I'll talk to you outside by the car. In a second, we're going to go out by the car and we'll get into this."
I got to be careful. I got to be careful because I'm a native New Yorker. I would be accused of pandering if I went too far. So
Yeah, it never was good when Hillary Clinton wore that Mets cap or Yankees cap, or I don't remember which it was, but she would like switch off, and you're like, and I'm a huge Hillary Clinton fan, by the way, but I just want to be like Hill baby.
Yeah, right. Yeah, yeah,
You
yeah.
gotta
exactly.
you gotta pick one. You can't that's no bueno. All right, well, I think we're mostly there. I may just sort of do a quick summary and goodbye to the folks here who are kind enough to come by today. But as I told you all, this week is definitely going to be a week of hour and 15, hour and 20-minute of these sessions, really when I'm as pissed off as I am today, because otherwise, I'll collapse and won't be able to do the one on Thursday and keep going forward. But I did mean to get into how, what was the title of this originally. I just got so pissed when that breaking news happened that Patty Reagan, who's always been more liberal, but on foreign policy stuff, I think she came out and said some very good stuff, pointing out all about how Trump's isolationism and embrace of Russia would have horrified her dad, which it would have, both of those things, and sent him into a tailspin. And it's not Reagan republicanism, and he's betrayed the party and betrayed their values and all this sort of stuff. And it was all good stuff because, again, and he just knowing it'll piss Trump off, psychological warfare, having somebody with the name Reagan attacking him is always a good thing. And so that's important. So that was what I was going to talk about, but I think we had a really productive conversation otherwise, and maybe hopefully a come to Jesus, Abraham, Allah, Buddha, Confucius, whoever it is that you believe in, the Force, whatever your personal belief system is. We had that moment, and don't disappoint me on this, Democrats. Don't give them the votes for this thing, and really make me angry, because you wouldn't like me when I'm angry. I had to say that. Sorry. I'm not really the Hulk. I just play him on TV. Okay. So I'll give you find Matt's podcast. It's terrific. Deeper dive into issues. You want to get smarter on how Washington works, how politics works, on elections and all of it. Matt will make you smarter. Back in the day, we were in school. He couldn't beat me in the 200, but he's really good at this. You guys may not know. We went to high school together. It's a bit frightening.
True story.
And
I was more of a 400 guy.
Yeah, you were. And Noah Shackman of Rolling Stone, who I'm still in touch with and friends with. He went to our high school too.
And James Murdoch. He learned everything.
Then there's James Murdoch, but he's the good Murdoch these days. So you never know. Talia, I like it. Cliff, go for a walk. We need you. I promise I will go for a walk. All right, well, let me let you go, Matt, and I will say my final goodbyes to all these wonderful folks.
All right. Hey, thank
you for being here, and we should make this a more often thing, because
would love to.
I'm smarter when you're on here, so
absolutely love to. And best to the whole Blue Amp and Cliff's Edge community. Thanks for all the questions, points, interjections on YouTube, on the live. I love hearing from people who are tuning in, and they always, like Barbara, always bringing up good points. So thanks to everyone.
No, that's why I got addicted to doing this, and why I love doing this, is that there's something about people being able to respond in real time.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you can kind of see what everybody's thinking and reacting to. And a lot of time the folks out here have frankly better ideas than those of us up here. So kind of a good thing to listen.
Kind of a good thing.
Matt, I'll be in touch. I'll be in touch with you before you leave for your vacation. But
all right, man.
Oh, I know you're
Sounds
going
good.
to Celtics tonight, so whatever. Go enjoy the Celtics.
All right, will do. And thank you. We'll see you soon.
All right, take it easy, man. All right, guys, here we are. Here we are again. I want to make sure to give credit to the fine folks who gifted us some things, and I want to tell you, don't make me take the goldfish with me. I'm going to be on the way out, but particularly a moment when I'm getting myself here with the flu. I would sure appreciate any paid Substack memberships, which is something we're pushing now the most of anything. But also any super chats and super stickers. They make a sick guy feel good that he got out of bed for the right reason. So first, Sheldon Hughes won Cliff's Edge membership. Thank you, Sheldon. Always showing up. always showing up with the stuff. And Francie is just crushing it today. Member for 5 months. That's pretty outstanding, Francie. Thank you for your longtime patronage and support of the channel. And then on top of that, you've got a $3 super sticker for me. So I really appreciate that. Here are the places you can subscribe. But you know what? Because we've only had 3 today, so I am going to go with who's coming with me. I appreciate Francie here, but there have been some times I've come on here where we have 10, 15 super chats, super stickers. Bob Barron jumping in. Thank you, Bob, for a $5 super chat. I'd love to leave here with at least 10. How about that? How about double digits? How about we find a way? Again, no amount is too small. Everything helps. And so for that reason, I'm going to ask if 6 more people can come with me before I go out. Sheldon Hughes with a $5 super chat. Another great show, Cliff. Thank you so much. I promise, Starlene, I see what you're saying. I'm not going to be grumpy. I really am not. And if this were like the kind of thing where if I got out here and I had that kind of attitude, that would be the wrong attitude. I don't come here and do this so that you guys can give me super chats and super stickers. I do it because it's important to do and I believe in it. But I still feel like when we have a show like this, I give you a good show and I do get out of bed, I'm going to ask for it. So I think that's fair from my part. So do we have 5 more? 99 cents. Oh, $4.99 from I says 1971 super chat. Thank you. We're at 6. 4 more, guys. It's all we need. And again, anything does it. A 99-cent super sticker does it. A $1.99 super chat does it. Any of those things. What else? What else we got going on? Anything else? Am I going to leave empty-handed? Am I have to leave with the goldfish? Are you going to do that to me? Happy to help as long as I'm able, from Francie. Well, Francie, my take on that to all of you, which is please don't help if you're not able. Okay, seriously. So do those calculations of what you need, because this is important to me, but this is also I'm not living from hand to fist and hand to fist. I can't tell you where my head is, hand to mouth. And so, like, if you can't afford it, you can't afford it. You guys, you and your families come first, always. So this is only for the folks who can. Sheldon with another $2. Thank you so much. All right, listen, that's a pretty good run there. I don't want to push too much, and I don't want to be a pain in the butt. I really appreciate all of you for turning out here. I'll be back tomorrow. Becky, thank you. Thank you, Cliff, with another $5 super chat. Thank you for turning out here. I ask you to please consider, certainly subscribe to our Substack. Consider a paid subscription. You'll get so much David Schuster and New York Times Pitch Bot and all of my columns. You're going to get all of the basic stuff, like all the news for free. So you'll get, we're going to make sure people are updated. They get news. You're going to get live stream live for free and all that. But some of the other added features will be where we'll ask folks to chip and become members, because I think that will be the place that really I've determined can grow really large. And we can have, the thing is, guys, we can have a voice there. Within the size of the membership, if I can raise the size of the paid membership too, it's really something where we can have an outsized voice. Look at that, Pearlwise with a $2.79 super chat. Okay, so I was gonna just walk away, but now we just need one more to reach our goal. Just one. Give me 99 cents. I'd say less than 99 cents, but I don't know if you can actually do that. Can you? If it was I'd say 15 cents if you could. But we're like one away, just one from, don't even have to take the goldfish with me. And now when I get healthy again, one of these days, I'm going to have to show that clip every time now that Tony will help me figure out that. And, look at Jim. There you go, Jim. Squirrel by simply subscribing. That's really helpful too. If you subscribe to YouTube, we keep growing. More people watch our videos. Hugely helpful. And that helps us bring in more ad revenue that way. YouTube sucks that way and keeps a lot of the ad revenue and is frustrating as hell. And don't get me started. But look at this. Now we've gone over the top because you guys are awesome. And now I will not bother you a second longer. Sheldon Hughes jumping in with $1. Super chat again. Sheldon always coming to the rescue. And Francie again, $1.49 super sticker. You guys are just incredible. And again, please, only what you can handle, only what you can afford, and still live like a fun, enjoyable lifestyle. Not like I can afford this, but that's because I'm having ramen noodles tonight. No, I don't want folks to give if it's going to hinder your life. It has to be something that you have extra and you can give and still live the enjoyable, relaxed, vacation filled, life that you deserve. So with that, I think we're going to sum it up. You guys have been great. I mean, almost an hour and a half. Love you guys. Thanks for the support. It really does make it feel special here and makes us a great community. Check out the Substack, and subscribe to YouTube. And I think we'll leave it with our usual. As the sun sets slowly in the west, I bid you a fond farewell, my friends. There we go. If I can find the thing to click on. It's my dramatic ending. I should wait a little bit longer to get there. As the sun sets slowly in the west, I bid you a fond farewell.